Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today, as promised, I am filming the video where I talk about more books I really enjoy from 2022 but didn't make it to my top favorites. So these are books I just really loved and enjoyed, but I feel like they are not called favorites, but some I gave 5 stars even, and I wanted to still make a video and talk about them and talk about why I feel like they stood out to me from all the 337 books I read last year. It's just like they didn't become favorites, but they're still really enjoyable books. So we have a couple here, so let's just get started. The first one I have is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This one I talked a lot about in the beginning of the year, and I kept repeating it over and over that I really enjoyed it. I loved it. I gave it 5 stars and I absolutely fell in love with the story and these characters. It follows Avery, who inherits $1 billion from this old lady she never met, and then she has to live in the house with his 4 grandsons, and they all are really hot, etc. And because of this, she's trying to find out of course why she had inherited the money and how she can be connected to this person. And it's kind of like a mystery, but as well as kind of reverse harm thing, and it's really just funny and cute. And the reason I didn't make it to my top favorites of the year was because I read a sequel and it was not as good. It was just something about the story that didn't feel as engaging and fun as the first one did, and it just kind of just went around in circles, and the enticing mystery wasn't that enticing anymore, and I'm just really sad about it. I still haven't read the third book, even though I expected myself to pick that up at once, but because of that it didn't feel like I could put it as a favorite of the year. But I still really enjoyed the first book, and I still appreciate and the enjoyment I have for this, because as I said, I gave it 5 stars, and in the beginning of the year it was a book I couldn't stop thinking about. But now I'm just kind of over it, because the second book kind of ruined that enjoyment, but I still need to appreciate the enjoyment I had initially for the first book. So that's why of course I wanted to mention it here, and I still very much recommend the series. It is just that it didn't become as good as I wanted it to. So in theory I read the second book and I gave it 4 stars, but I think if I was for real, I think I would, in theory it is a 3 stars, so that's just a bit disappointing. But still, this is still a 5-star book that I really enjoyed. I might, if I reread it now, give it 4 stars, but at the time it was a 5-star read. So we then have Kingdom of Gods by Anka Jamison. This is the final book in the Inheritance trilogy, and I don't ever know how to describe this. Every book follows different characters, but they're set in the same world. The first one followed Yaina, who goes to the capital of the city where the gods are, and the gods are kind of enslaved by humanity and needs to work for them. And then she's just trying to find out who's good and who's not good. Is it the gods? Is it the humans? She's trying to survive in this really political climate, trying to become part of a council, because she has a place there. That's why she traveled all the way. And there's different aspects of the story that it's revealed, and it's just so cool and amazing, and the world is so cool. I love Anka Jamison's world and writing, and here the story wraps up, and she manages somehow to add more to the story, whereas we thought certain things were this and this, but she manages to add more and more and make the world bigger and make the stakes higher, and I just don't know how. So yes, the second book follows another character again, and then this third one follows another character again, but there's still characters you've seen in the other books, and they all do hang together, just the main characters from each book kind of have their story arc done. So it will make sense that we follow someone else, but yeah, here we follow new characters, and it was so good. I was just sitting there this is a 5-star read guaranteed. I just don't know why exactly it's not a favorite of the year. It's just a really good book. I give it 5 stars. I really loved it, but it doesn't feel like a favorite. I'm sure book readers would relate with how I'm trying to describe this feeling, but it's probably one of the favorite books I read in my life, but it's not a favorite. I don't know how to describe the difference, but this is one of the reasons I wanted to make this video, so that I could talk about books like these that I absolutely loved. It just didn't make it to the top of the year, and I very much recommend the series. If you're, most people are read 5th season, but Inheritance is just so good, and I recommend it immensely. All Anka Jamison's books are so different from each other, and how they managed to be written so good and just be developed in so many different ways and the different worlds is beyond me. So I just recommend so many more to pick up the other series, because I feel I don't see that many talk about them, but that might be also because they are older, so maybe people already read them. I don't even know, but very much recommend this. Then we have On My Rage by Saba Tahir. This one was Saba's contemporary debut, because we have Amber and Ashes from Saba, and I absolutely love that, and it's one of my favorite series of all time. And I knew I was gonna love this, and I did give it 5 stars, and I do stand behind that 5 stars still. This one follows 2 characters that are in a lot of pain for different reasons. One of them is being abused by her uncle. The other one has a mom who very very sick, and he struggles a lot to keep their like business afloat, and he's just a teen. Both of them just teens and trying to survive in this world, and it's literally just a very painful and sad book. Like, it's never happy. It has hope in it, definitely, towards the end, etc. And I'm not saying like it doesn't have hopeful and sweet moments, but it's literally depressing. And I was just sitting there like, thank you. But it's making you feel all these things. It's written beautifully. You care so much about these characters and their different situations, and just you see so much from the stories, like where and how they came where they are. And I thought it was really, really beautiful and really, really nice story, and I definitely recommend it. But again, didn't reach a favorite place just because, I don't know, reasons. I also have a hard time, you know, making favorites that are not fantasy. I don't know why, because I feel more attached to those stories, which doesn't make sense, you know, because they're set in different worlds, etc., while contemporary are set in our world. But I guess it makes me think too much about our world, so maybe that makes sense. But yeah, as I said, just a really, really beautiful story. I gave it 5 stars. I stand behind it. I recommend it a lot. But as I said, didn't also make it a favorite. But I feel like people are sleeping on this as well, though, because I feel like this is like a book you would read and you would definitely like it, even though like maybe it's not the typical book you read. Then we have A Spindle Splintered by Alex E. Harrow. This is a Sleepy Beauty retelling, which follows our main character who's very, very sick, and she enters like the land of Sleeping Beauty and thinks she can find her cure for her sickness there, where she also meets Sleeping Beauty and is trying to like save her, etc. And it was just so magical and beautiful. I didn't expect to love it as much as I did, but I definitely did. I almost cried, and it was just such a beautiful, magical, adventurous story. And then we had an FF relationship, and I just really, really loved it. I feel like if I had a retelling, this is the one that I would have, and it just deeply in my heart. I still haven't picked up the sequel, but I really want to. The reason it didn't reach my favorites is just because while I did really love it, it doesn't feel like a favorite, but I did give it 5 stars, and I stand behind that, and I really want to read the second one in the series. And yeah, it's really, really short, so perfect for readathons if you ever need a recommendation, because I truly didn't believe that I would love it as much as I did, but I did. Like, I totally fell in love, and I recommend it highly. Then we have based on Riot Volume 1 by Keito Gaku. This one is a manga following a trans teen that starts a clothing brand with his newest friend, and together he's using this clothing brand kinda to express himself, because he feels like they're a bit more neutral, and he's trying really hard to like not seem what everyone perceives him as. And it's just about like him coming to terms with, also not come to terms with being trans, but like trying to trust some people to tell. And it was just a very, very sweet story. This first volume made me cry. I was at work and there was tears in my eyes, and I was just like, this is embarrassing. It really, really stuck with me as a really, really grounded and beautiful story. But then I read the sequel and I didn't like it as much, not the sequel, but volume 2. And there's something happened in the end of volume 2 that I'm a bit skeptical about. So we should see how that plays out. It's not like I hate the series or anything like that. I still enjoy it, but it's just like it didn't keep the high going. And because of that, it automatically affects my thinking of this one, while the enjoyment of this was super high, and I give it 5 stars. And I, again, stand behind that. I wouldn't change the rating. But I just feel like it didn't completely reach like a favorite place of the year. But again, I feel like I seem negative while being positive, because I'm trying to explain like why I didn't reach a favorite. But it's still like, it was an amazing manga, and I very, very much recommend it. So yeah, very emotional, very much highly enjoyed, obviously. And then we have Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. So I reread 1 and 2 this year, because obviously the TV show was coming, and then I read 3 and 4, and I didn't expect to love them as much, because I gave Heartstopper 1 and 2 1 star, not 1 star. I meant 4 stars, both of them. Like, I really, really enjoyed them. I think they're really, really cute and very, very important stories, and I feel like it's amazing that teens can read them and see queer teens being queer and just finding out stuff, and it's okay to be unsure, and it's okay to be not knowing every single thing and labels and all that stuff, and about mental health. It's beautiful. But then I read 3 and 4. And I absolutely fell in love. Like, they were so good. Especially like the third one just became such a hard favorite. It's the trip. I just love trips. I love it when everyone's together and just forced to be together and doing all the stuff. And it's just, oh, my heart. A trip caught me deep in my soul, and I loved it to pieces. And then we had the fourth one, which was a very, very sad one. But because of that, I enjoyed it so much. And it just went deeply into my heart. And I really, really enjoyed them. I didn't even say what Heartstopper was about, but this is basically about 2 dudes that fall in love. Like, I don't know, and then I tried to figure out stuff. I assume most people know. But yeah, I didn't expect, as I said, to love them as much as I did. Like, I gave both of these 5 stars. And I feel like, again, don't give 5 stars out at often. Apparently it seems like I do often now in this video, but that's kind of the point of the video. But these just really stuck in, and I am excited to read like the final 5th volume, even though I know you can technically read it online for now, but I want to wait until it comes in these. Just had a really good time, and I was surprised how much I love them. But again, listen, like, not favorites. People ask me if I recommend it, I will scream and say yes. So kind of favorites, but not favorites. Like, these are books I look upon highly, and I will look upon them highly for years. But you get what I mean. Then we have Sarah Bowen's Guide to Vampire Hunting by Rosanna A. Brown. This one is based on Ghanaian folklore, and it is follows Sarah, who has parents that are vampire hunters, and they have like been on the, like, not the run, but like on the move for many years. Then one day they're gonna go like on a hunt, and they don't bring her with them, so she puts her with her normal family, like other family in the family, and turns out that their month is where she is as well. So she needs to get new friends and uses her own resources to fight these monsters, and it's just so good. Like, I'm still not over how good this was. Like, I read quite a few Rick Reiner's presents now, and I have enjoyed a lot of them, like, and there's none I haven't liked, but this was just, oh my god, it was just exactly what I needed. Especially the ending was totally beyond words. I am still not over it. I was sitting there like gaping when reading it. It was so good, and I just love all the relationships that she had with her friends, and how like they grew, and how she learned and developed, and then the things that were revealed. And ending, as I said, getting goosebumps was just amazing, and I recommend it so much for if you read in middle grade, for if you want to pick up Rick Reiner's presents, etc. Like, all the things. I feel like this is just such an enjoyable one, and it just hits the places of all the things I enjoy. So I ended up giving it 5 out of 5 stars, and I still think about it, and I want to read the sequel now, and just So the reason I just didn't read Favorites of the Year is just like, while it is an amazing book, I just didn't feel the same feeling, but it is a 5-star feeling. There is 2 different things. I don't know why I'm trying to explain it for every book, but here we are, and I'm still trying. But yeah, super enjoyable. Recommended immensely. Then we have A Close and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers. This is the second book in the Wayfarers series, and I did enjoy, I guess-ish, all of them in the series. I mean, I didn't love them all, but I liked them fine, and I never expected to give the second book just randomly 5 stars, but they all are set like in the big vast universe, and they all like have like the same world, you know, and like we meet the same species, etc. in the books, but we follow different characters. And in this one we follow 2 characters, where one of them we see how she ended up where she is today, and there's those flashbacks. They weren't in flashbacks, they were like full chapters or full story, were everything to me. I was so into the story. That was like all alone why I gave it 5 stars, because I couldn't stop reading. I was thinking about the book when I was not reading it. I was just so engaged into like where did this person end up. I mean, know where she ends up, but how, why, how did it happen? And just the ending made me cry. It was so beautiful, and this is the kind of story that it was into me. Okay, it's a character-driven story, and I usually like not behind those so much, but this was just done so well. Like, all the others in the series I did enjoy. I think I gave the first one like 3.5, the third one 3, and the fourth one like 4, I think. But this one just 5 instantly, because I was so engaged in like how the story was going to go with the character in the future as well. Like, I really cared about that as well, and it brings up also some interesting topics and themes that you want to discuss and think about. So again, just very much enjoy this, and it just went and digged deep in. But overall, not a favorite forever, but a favorite for the year. It's so stupid, the whole thing. The whole like, why is your favorite? It gave you 5 stars. Why isn't it on your favorite list? I don't know, okay? It doesn't make any sense to me either. Then I have Fool's Fate by Robin Hobb, which I gave 5 stars. And this is the third and final book in the Heavy Man trilogy, which I loved. And the first series of it fits, because this is the third series in like all the series. Fool's Fate, who is the bastard of the king waiting in the country, but then he abdicates the throne, and then Fitz just never meets him, and is grown up like in the stables, and then later taught to be the king's assassin. And this is one of my favorite series of all time, and like, why there wasn't this on my favorite list on the top of here, I don't know. There's something about when I over mention a series in a series. I don't like mentioning them over and over in the favorites. It just doesn't make any sense, I know. But it's also because I didn't love this series as much as I loved the first one. The first one, just in my heart, is still my favorite, just because things that happened and how I felt about it. But I still love these characters dearly. The overall of Realm of Earnings is one of my favorite things of all time. I'm not going to deny that. But it's just something about like how I didn't love this as much, then therefore I couldn't feel like I could mention it in like my top. Doesn't make any sense. But I still like, I love it. And when I read them, they are everything to me. I just have really high expectations for it, and I feel like when I get the last series this year, I'm gonna like definitely mention those in like my favorites for the year, like when that is over. But that's like the last series in my head. It doesn't make any sense. It's everything. It is so good. The way it's written, the characters, how you care about them, how you care about the story. Nothing ever can compare to these. They're just amazing, tremendous books that I could just talk about all day, and just the nitty bitty greatness in these, and just it hurts. Okay, so it's like this is like a favorite forever in my heart, the whole series. So I don't know why I'm struggling. Then we have You Made a Fool Out of Death with Your Beauty by Craig Messi. This one is Craig Messi's adult romance book, and it follows our main character, which I cannot remember the name of right now, but she starts dating this dude, and they go home to his island, and then she meets another person, and then maybe she feels something for this other person. I'm not gonna say more, but it was just totally crazy. I did not expect where the story would go. I just love how it was written. I love the characters and how deep they were, and I loved just the relationship. I don't know why I loved it, but it was just so good. Just the drama as well. I love some drama, and just how the story played out. I just it was everything to me. I read it like in one day because I was reading it for a readathon, and I just didn't expect to love it so much. And I gave it 5 stars because it was just so endearing, and it made me cry in my heart, and I just loved the characters and everything. I just keep using the same words over and over. It just didn't reach like the top favorite of the year, but it's definitely one of the favorite romance books I ever read. So it's not just because the genre didn't reach it, it's just, it's a pedestal, okay? So it's high on the pedestal, but it's not on top. Do I need to say that for every book? Apparently I do. I don't know why. Then we have I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. This one follows obviously Jeanette McCurdy and her life, and like her relationship with her mom who really abused her, and just why it ended up as it did. And I read this on audiobook where she reads the audiobook herself, and I just really loved it. There was just something about reading about her abuse that really got into my soul. It sounds so sad, but I just really enjoyed it. I found so many things about the story just so deeply powerful, and I just don't know why. It's just a memoir that really stuck with me, and I really have been enjoying like randomly these memoirs over the years, like some here and there that I really enjoyed, and this one just automatically 5 star. It was just so good. It's just I wouldn't reach my favorite books of all time. It just seems weird in my head to have it as that, but I just read some really good ones the last few years, and I'm really grateful for that. I feel like reading about people sometimes, you know, just not fantasy as well. It's reading about people in a way, but you know what I mean. It's just something you learn about it, and it expands your world, and it's really, you know, cool that we can do that. Not me getting philosophical. Now the rest of these I didn't actually give 5 stars. These are just books I really loved. I just didn't feel like they were complete 5 stars. Some I like could bump up, to be honest, but I just still love them. I want to mention them here, obviously, because they still are really like high in my head, or books like I really couldn't forget about. So let's go through these as well. First off, we have The Darkness Outside Us by Elliot Schreiber. This one was the Facing His Pick for January, and it follows these 2 boys on his ship that is going to this direction, and stuff happens. It is seriously one of the best books we read for Facing Gaze. It is a book that we cannot stop talking about or thinking about, and it's a book that really shocks us and surprises you. I really loved it. I had such a great time with it. The reason I didn't give it 5 stars, one of the reasons at least, is the ending, because it made me seriously laugh out loud. What's with this son? Like, why? Like, it's literally so low. Like, go away. Like, you're ruining. I'm getting blended in my face here, but I had like such a good time with this book, and I still have not forgotten it, and it's a book I would highly recommend to anyone. I just cannot say more about it because you really need to read it and find out yourself and get your mind blown, seriously. Then we have Project Hail Mary by Annie Ware, my first Annie Ware book finally, and this one follows a character who walks up in the ships, and he needs to, I don't know, I have never like read a synopsis of how much he actually needs to do stuff in space. And then we also get flashbacks of like why he's there, and trying to like slowly come to reveal it, and there's just I feel like you nearly need to read this to find out what I'm talking about, but it's just so good. It is so good, like, believe me. I thought it was going to be super complicated and sciencey. It was not. I completely understood all of the stuff, but there's just a character here, one of the most amazing characters I have ever read, and just how our main character gets involvement and just how everything turns out means, oh, It was just amazing. Like, seriously, I want to talk about it more, but I feel like I didn't know anything reading it. I was just like, what the heck is going on? And then things evolved, and I was into the story, and I was out. I was in and out, and I was gone. So I want you to have the same experience. I cannot say more. I feel like these two, they don't have like the same stuff going on in them, but they're both like sci-fi books that, by the way, is amazing. But it's just like they have some weird twists in there or stuff you don't see coming. If you don't know anything, you don't see it coming, and you just need to be there for the ride. Apparently they really enjoy sci-fi like that. I just cannot read synopsises. Then we have If You Can See the Sun by Anne Liang. This one is a YA contemporary with magical aspects of it. So we follow our main character Alice, who goes to like this really prestigious school, and she doesn't really have a fortune anymore. Then she gets an ability to turn invisible, and now the sun just disappeared. And then she uses this to earn money. She does different jobs to earn money. They don't know she can turn invisible, but she says she can do anything that no one else can. And then she goes out helping people at the school, and then we see how far she's willing to go for money and like etc. It was asked interesting questions that you wanna like think about for yourself, and it also had like a fun romance that I actually enjoyed, and it's just a fun setting, and I just really enjoyed how things played out. It was just so well written, so well thought through, and I just really enjoyed my character and just developments. It's coming a TV show. I want it so badly, or a movie, whatever. Like, I feel like visually it would just be so great, and just how, as I said, the story would play out, it's just perfect. So I need it, and I really just enjoyed their relationships and the writing and just everything in this. So yeah, really recommend this. Then I have Iron Widow by Xian Jai Chao. This one is a really popular book, I was gonna say. It's the first one in, I don't know if it's a trilogy or duology, but it's the first one in the series. And we follow a main character who wants to take revenge, basically. In this world, girls are used in these machines to power them up because they're fighting this war. In these machines, every time they are used, the girl dies because the dude kind of just sucks out all the stuff in the girl, like all the energy or whatever. She volunteers because she's gonna go in a machine where her sister also did and died, and then she's gonna like kill him instead. And there's revenge thing here. I feel like it's a thing you heard before, but you're not gonna expect where it will go. Like, seriously, you're not gonna expect it. And then I mean just how our character is, how brutal and ruthless and determined she is, as well as like the ending. Like, it's gonna be like, excuse you. It was great ending. It was really great. So very much recommend this. Very much enjoy this. And I still think about it. So really it should be a 5-star read. I don't know why I gave it 4 stars. I haven't actually rated it, but in my head I rated it 4 stars. On Goodreads it says I didn't rate it anything because I couldn't decide what to do. Probably a 5-star. And I'm so excited to see the sequel. I think it will go in a certain way, because that's what I did with this one. But then when I read it, it will actually not go anywhere where I think it will go, because that's what the author does apparently, and I love it. And then we have Jong Born 1982 by Cho Nam-yu. This one is a Korean translated book, and it follows Kim Ji-young, who has, how to describe this book. I described it many times before, but now I'm just like, how to describe stuff. So it describes Kim Ji-young as her whole life, because now she has like in the future become like totally gone. People are just like, what is wrong with her in a way? Sent to like a psychiatrist who's gonna judge her for like why she is like broken. And then we go through like all her life, like how she grew up and what she did and what she has done to like judge her for how could she end up useless like this. And then you just see her whole life, and it's just very interesting. It goes deeply into Korea's misogyny and just so many like details, and just the irony of the whole story just really got me. It can also feel a bit textbooky, but for me, I didn't like mind it. I didn't think that it distracted me from story. For me personally, it made the story stronger, so that's what I really enjoyed about it. And it's just a book I kept thinking about over and over after reading it. Like, I couldn't stop not thinking about it because it was just so good, and it made me like question so many things. It's just, as well as just a very important book, a very relevant book, and I'm surprised that I could enjoy a book like this so much, but I did. Like I said earlier, reading about real life also, you know, helps. But the whole point about the book is just her being like a totally normal woman in Korea, and just basically how they are treated and how they live in a way. So again, super enjoyable, and just very eye-opening and interesting. So again, really enjoyed it, and kind of keep forgetting that I read it and how much I actually enjoyed it because I read so many books, and I remembered it, and I was like, oh, I kind of want to reread it. And the last book we have here, After Ages, My Voice is Dying, is Progress by Daphne Palisi Andreades. So this one I read for Nikki's favorite video thingy that I did, like reading booktubers favorites, and I got it, and it was just such a tiny book, and I didn't realize it's gonna be this small, and I'm still not over it. But it is a beautiful book. It is very much an abstract book that I didn't like think it was going to be. It's written like we do this, we do this, we go to the store. And like I didn't expect it to be like that at all. It feels like kind of a poetry more than a story. But it basically follows a brown girl in like the Queens area in New York, and like how they go about their lives. Like we grew up like this, we did this, how they like grow up and get families and some don't, and how like it is to live as a girl and as a brown girl in New York City, in the in the United States, I'm sorry. And it was just, again, a bit like Kim Ji-young, but like very different writing style, whereas like you see the world, you see how they're treated, you can see so many directions and so many conceptions and so many, I was gonna say, like what people think about them, you know, racism, misogyny in general. And I just thought it was a beautiful book. I thought it was beautifully written and beautifully done, and make you think, as I said again with Kim Ji-young, it makes you think about life, about how we treat people, and again, just, you know, discrimination and, you know, the unevenness of society and all the stuff that is shit, basically, but also just the beautifulness of life. And it was just a very good book that I didn't expect to enjoy so much. Again, it's a bit like Kim Ji-young, that where I've forgotten how much I actually enjoyed it, but then I was looking through to make this list, I remembered, and I was just like, oh my god, yes. It's a book I really need to recommend and talk about, because it's seriously, like, beautiful and very much worth it. Seriously, this sun is ruining everything, but it's fine. And yeah, again, very much enjoyed this and recommend it endlessly. I feel like it's a book I typically wouldn't have picked up, and I'm glad I did. It's a book that stands with me, and I know like it means like a billion times more for Nikki because it's really like close to her, and just, like, it makes me happy to think about that as well, and for other people that could pick this up and feel as close to the story as she did. And it's the same like with maybe Kim Jong, like how women in Korea maybe can read it and be like, oh my god. So yeah, that was all the books that I did read, but didn't make my favorite list, but that I wanted to recommend, and stands as my top reads for the year. So I guess like why the other video was like my favorite books of 2023, this would be my top reads. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a good one. It made me happy to talk about all these books and think about them. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Check out my Patreon down below if you're interested. Leave a heart emoji down below if you enjoyed this. You shall see me soon in a new one. And goodbye.